The name Moon Looks On came from, I lived in Dublin 12 in Walkinstown for a number of years. I lived on Thomas More Road.
Okay.
While I was living there, I started to read some Thomas More poetry. I like poetry, and I just read a poem called Whilst Gazing on the Moon's Light. And there's a line in it that goes, the moon looks on many brooks, but the brook only looks on one moon. And I just thought, I kind of like that. And I took that line, and that's basically where I got the name for the band, or for my artist name.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
And does poetry inform your music, or?
People inform my music, I suppose. I do. I really love literature, and I love to read, and I love to. I guess reading informs my writing, and people do as well. You know, with circumstances and the people around you, and the places you are, and your social surroundings and stuff like that. Life. Yeah.
You're a Sligo man, so you probably come across the poetry of the Stallions of WB.
I have actually. I done. I think it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I got contacted by someone from the Arts Council in Sligo, and they asked a number of musicians to write some music to some W.B. Yeats poetry. You could pick any song you wanted, and I wrote a melody for Those Dancing Days Are Gone and performed it in the Hawkswell Theatre with with a number of other musicians. I wasn't really mad on W.B. Yeats' poetry when I was in school. Just when I was in school, you know, but
too many of them to learn.
Times have changed.
Yeah. So did growing up in Sligo, inform your music at all, or?
I guess I grew up, around the Killarney, Ballymote kind of area, which is steeped in musical heritage, really. Big trad place. I grew up in a kind of in a household where trad and folk and I guess bluegrass and country and rock and roll, everything from Chuck Berry to Creedence Clearwater to John Prine to Nancy Griffith to Sean Kane. My mother was a great Sean Kane fan, still is. Which was really cool, because one time I actually got to do a gig and Sean Kane was playing at the same gig, and I remember standing beside him and very tempted to take a sneaky photo and send it to my mother.
That's Dolores Kane's brother.
Yeah, he's a great musician.
Unbelievable.
But yes, I guess growing up in Sligo I was a late starter when it came to playing acoustic guitar or playing. I was a DJ for many years, but I always had a great appreciation of, I guess, Irish music and traditional music and rebel songs and not just that, but I like 60s and 70s rock and roll and folk and music from all around the world.
Yeah, and then you moved to Galway.
Moved to Galway and lived a hedonistic lifestyle. I know, I came to move to Galway.
We all do.
Yeah, it's the graveyard of ambitions, now to call it. I lived with a guy, Richie was his name, great guy, and we had a little flat out in Barna, and I lived in Galway for 12 years. I moved down here, I worked as a scaffolder, and during that time I had done a number of jobs. I was a scaffolder, I was a pizza delivery driver for a while, I worked in a hardware store, and I was really, really into DJing, and then I guess I just kind of got tired of DJing. Not that I have anything against DJing, I don't think I have the utmost respect for it, but I had vinyls, 1210s and Pioneer DJM 900 mixer and
dance music, I would imagine.
Yeah, dance music, like banging tunes, trance and techno and tech trance, and then I just swapped it and started playing the bodhrán and guitar and writing songs.
Okay. So you're kind of, what would they describe as a singer-songwriter, I guess?
Yes, I had a bipolar shift and moved towards singer-songwriting. Yeah, I just, I guess any man or woman who starts off with a guitar gets kind of labelled with the singer-songwriter thing, which I'm totally cool with. It is the way it is, you know. I also play electric guitar, write a lot of stuff on electric, but I play with a 7-piece band. I tour on my own, I tour with the band, I tour in different forms of the band.
So how did the band get together?
How did the band get together? So I went to college. I went to college for the first time in Dublin when I was 31, I think. And I studied music on the Commercial Modern Music degree in BIMM, which is the British Irish Institute of Modern Music. And it was there that I met most of my band. I had met one of them prior to that in Munro's. She was a violin player called Aisling, and I really wanted to play music with her. And then I asked a number of people, would you fancy playing a bit of music together? So I was Moon Looks On my own, and the band are also Moon Looks On.
So that BIM is a good place to meet other musicians, really, or is it? Do you learn good stuff there?
You do, yeah. It's like I guess it's the same. It's a TU, which used to be formerly DIT. So it's a university accredited degree. So you have to do the same theory degree that everybody in other colleges does to the same level. The composition part of the courses is quite high and stuff. So, but they call themselves the most connected college in Ireland, and for me, they have proven that, because I've done a lot of really, really cool gigs have come my way through the college.
And would that be the equivalent of the Ballyfermot Rock School, or is that still there?
The Ballyfermot Rock School is still there, and it's an incredible course. I know a load of people. I haven't done it, but I know a load of people that have done it. Lots of my friends have done it.
Yeah.
I think it's quite a high level. I think BIM might be a little bit higher.
Yeah.
Just because it's a university. I know in the FETAC standing of things, it's a little bit higher. But yeah, they're both amazing.
And is that a good environment? I mean, should you just be doing your own thing, or?
Well, I've done my own thing for a number of years, and a lot of people said to me, why do you feel the need to go to college, or why do you need to do that, or, and for me it was just, I didn't want to become a teacher, or I didn't want to do this, I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to learn more, I wanted to learn more in environment. You can learn a lot on your own, and I have learned a lot on my own, but if you imagine when you're going into college 5 days a week, surrounded by, in my classroom there was about 20 songwriters in my class. I focused primarily on songwriting and production. So you're spending minimum 4 or 5 hours a day every day surrounded by songwriters, which is only going to up your game, and you learn more, you get better. So
and some of those guys will be the hot stuff now, Fontaines DC, I guess,
there's loads of really good bands coming out there. It's kind of high level stuff like
And do you think is the Irish music scene healthy at the moment, or?
I think the Irish music scene, I think the music scene in the world at the moment is as healthy as it's ever been. There's some seriously good bands, there's no shortage of good music to listen to. There's no shortage of new music being created. All you have to do is look at these playlists that are coming out on Spotify, like these new Music Friday and these new folk playlists. And it doesn't matter what type of genre you listen to. Every Friday there's a ton of banging tunes coming out. In every
Friday, and Monday too. And I was just going to ask you, what is your creative process? Would you have a process, or?
Do I have a process? You know what? It kind of comes in waves. Normally for me, everybody has a different kind of way of approaching it, but normally for me, it's just a feeling, that kind of comes over you, and you just feel like writing straight away. And I normally start to write with pulling out a lick on the guitar or something, something will come out, and I'll just follow that melody, and then I'll write a verse based on that, and then
the words come as soon as you put your hand.
It's the same. First there's an idea, and possibly a title.
Okay.
I do try and work with titles initially.
You start off with a title.
Yeah, possibly.
And would the words come before the music, or music first?
No, the music always comes first for me.
First.
I've tried it the other way. It's not the way I do it.
And are you a strict chorus verse, or verse chorus?
Not at all. I have tons of songs that have
freeform enough.
Pretty freeform, and then I have lots of songs that are follow the traditional structure of verse, chorus, middle eight, all the different kind of verse, chorus, middle eight, maybe the odd out pre-chorus, maybe a coda. So the old techno background informs your. I don't know. It's just I think that's just a feeling. It's just you just kind of go with how your gut feeling of what feels like the right. I would never put a middle eighth in a song just to have a middle eighth in a song. If I feel it needs it or warrants it, then I would.
And where are you living now?
I'm living in Dublin. I've been living there for almost 5.5 years now.
And would you say your environment shapes how you write songs?
I'd say it probably does.
More bucolic when you're in Galway, or?
I don't know. My journey changed quite dramatically along the way, because, as I'm sure everybody's journey does if you're playing music or doing anything in life, really. When I started in Galway to play music, I was at the beginning of my, I hadn't really explored too much in relation to open tunings or finger picking, or I kind of went down a road of really enjoying finger picking and really enjoying kind of open tunings and listening to songwriters who, kind of made those type of styles famous for me and stuff. And we were talking earlier about John Martin, and so I guess I think in Dublin, you could be anywhere really in the world. It's just you're writing based on kind of feelings and emotions, and obviously it's going to be affected by your surroundings to some degree.
And do you think in Dublin there'd be a bit of competition which spurs you on a bit more? There's other places you live where you're on your own pace.
I think in Dublin, there's a shitload of gigs on all the time. There's a massive amount of venues, and there's always a lot of songwriters. You could probably sit in a pub in Dublin and throw a stone out the window and clatter 3 songwriters in the head. There's a lot of songwriters in Dublin. There's a lot of musicians in Dublin, because the colleges are there in relation to music, and B, because there's just more gigs. You can make it is actually possible. It's feasible to make a living, albeit a bit of a struggle, but it's doable.
And when did you realise that you could earn a living out of this?
When I moved to Dublin, actually.
Yeah.
When I moved to Dublin, yeah. I was living in Dublin, and I had just moved. I was living in Galway, and then I moved back to Sligo for a very short period.
Yeah.
And then I just moved up to Dublin, and I actually busked for the first year that I was in Dublin.
Good practice.
Yeah, and then and I height the respect for people who busk in Dublin, and the level of busking in Dublin is extremely high at the moment because of the licensing laws and stuff. And
Dermot Kennedy is one of the biggest.
Yeah, he started off. Yeah.
Glenn Answer was a busker. I believe you're going to do a tune now called Soldier. Would
Yes.
you give us a spiel about that? How did that come about?
I'm going to do, when I was living in Galway, I used to drink coffee in this little place called Java's in town. I can't remember the street it was on, it's just off Shop Street. And I met a guy in there who's like an American Marine type of thing. And I just was chatting to him about his kind of life and where he'd been and the things he had done. And I suppose it inspired directly this song, The Soldier.
Is it political?
Sure, like, yeah, it's probably the most political fucking song I have. But yeah, it's I guess it is. You know, it's I wrote it after meeting him, so I guess it is what it is. You know, some people will probably call it political.
Yeah. And would you do political stuff, or is it more the personal? Really?
I don't really, like, you know, no, I don't. It's not like I wake up in the morning and go like, I'm not going to write political stuff. It's just I don't seem to write much political
stuff.
stuff.
More for shouty kind of people, really, isn't it?
I don't know. Like, obviously, like Bob Dylan wrote some of the most amazing political songs ever. It's not that I think anything about whether it's this or it's that. It's just I don't personally do it. So
yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, apart from this song, which is very political, probably. I don't know. Yeah.
I believe you're going to get your bow on now.
Yes, I'm going to leave down my guitar and pick it up. Okay.